Good morning, students. Today we are going to study our new chapter, NCERT class 10, chapter number 16, Management of Natural Resources. In this chapter we will study about types of natural resources and how to save the environment and the award given by our government to save our wildlife. And there are so many moments was be there happens to save our environment. So we will start our topics with what is environment and what is natural resources that we are going to study in this chapter. First, anything in the environment which can be used is called a natural resources. What is natural resources? Anything in our environment which can be used is called natural resources. Natural resources includes what was natural resources and what are included in that, and the total natural environment that supports human life and contributes to the production of necessities and comfort to mankind. Means anything that is fuel, petroleum, wood, fruits, vegetables, anything that complete and fulfill the needs of human beings and animals, and it provides us comfort for better life supports, that is called natural resources, and all these things are included in natural resources. So types of natural resources, there are two types of natural resources, and which are they? First is inexhaustible and second is exhaustible. These two types of natural resources are be there, but what was the difference between inexhaustible and exhaustible? These are in plenty and cannot be adjusted by man's consumption. For example, air, sound, clay, etc. It gets affected by the over pollution of mankind. Means these resources are in plenty and it cannot be finished ever. So it was be long life. Then it was be used by the humans, but we are using carelessly, so these resources are going to be polluted, and the over pollution of the mankind also affect these resources. Now we are using so many vehicles, and the dust particles and the pollutants that are created by the activities of mankind will pollute the air, water, land, noise pollution, and so many types of pollutions. So these resources was going to be polluted, so it is very harmful for us. And second is exhaustible. These are limited and can be exhausted. Means these resources are limited and it is not for a long period of time. So like coal, petroleum, etc. these are the resources that are limited, and in future it will be finished. So we have to use carefully right now, and the rate of using these fuels are so fastly. So I think 10 to 15 years, approx in 50 years it will be finished. So we have to use wisely and judicially of these resources. If we didn't use this wisely, so it will be finished in few years, and for our future uses we didn't able to use coal and petroleums. So management of natural resources, so it is a very important topic. So we have to manage the natural resource, then we able to use in future also. But if we didn't able to use this, then we didn't able to manage the natural resource, then it will be finished and we didn't able to use in future. A system of controlling the uses of natural resources in such a way as to avoid their wastage and to save them in the most effective way is called management of natural resources. What is management of resources? What we are studying in that? In that we are studying how to use and how to control the wastage that we are wasting our natural resources. How we will control to manage, and how to manage the resources, so it will be used for our future also. So we will study in that how to controlling and how to use the resources wisely. We need to manage our natural resources because of the following reason. Why we manage the natural resources, why it is important for us. There are so many questions arising, why we are studying and why we are using this. If it is pollute our environment, then why we will save? Because we all need these resources for our future, because for our beneficial of a mankind. The resources of earth are limited and population is increasing rapidly. So the proper management can ensure that the natural resources are used judiciously so that they fulfill the needs of the present generation and also last for the generations to come. Means in our earth the natural resources are limited. So and the population of the human beings are increasing rapidly. So if we proper manage the resources, then if we use wisely and judicially the natural resources, so it will fulfill the needs of present time also and for future time also. We will use that in future also, and our next generation also use that natural resources. So we have to manage this. The proper management can ensure equitable distribution of natural resources so that all the peoples can benefit from the development of these resources. Means if we use all the resources equally, then we didn't have any burden on a one resources. Right now the coal is rapidly finished. Why? Because we will mostly depends on coal for our energy resources. We produce electricity with coal. Some industries like steel and iron industry are also using coal for heating purposes, and we run trains and so many steam engines on coal. So the use of coal in worldwide is so much than other natural resources. So the coal is rapidly finished. That's why we have to use every source natural resources in an equal manner. Then all the resources will be equally used. These are the two main reasons why we manage the natural resources. Sustainable management. What is sustainable management? Management of resources wisely so that they meet current basic human needs while preserving them for the needs of future generations. What is sustainable management? It is the type of management in which we are wisely use the natural resource for present time, for present needs, and for preserving that natural resources for future use also. That is called sustainable management. Now there are 3 R's to save the environment, but I think now 4 R's and 5 R's also come. But in your book there are only 3 R's, so we will study these 3 R's. What is 3 R's? These are the method from that we will save our time, energy, environment and so on. So what is first R? First R means reduce. It means useless. Means we have to use all the resources very less. If we use less, then it will be preserved for a long time. That is called reduce. Save the resources by not wasting them. Like means we have to not waste the resources. Means in our home we will switch on the fan, then we forgot to switch off. Whole day it will running, so the energy will be wasted. So we have to remind that we didn't have to waste the energy. Switching off unnecessary lights and fans means we have to off all the lights that we didn't want to be there. Repairing leaky taps means I think in all our homes the taps was be leakage and the drops of water was continuously falling down. So we are thinking only few drops are falling down, then what happens? But when the few drops was continuously leakage in 24 hours, then how much water it will be wastage. So we have to repair the leakage of the tap to not wasting foods. And we are wasting when we are goes for a party and if any functions, then we are taking so much food. We didn't able to eat that all food, but we are taking so much food and we will waste. So we didn't have to waste the food also. This is all our natural resources. Recycle. Segregate. Segregate means to separate one from other is called segregate. Means we have to segregate the waste that can be recycled. Means there are so many wastes and household waste and factories, industrial waste are coming out through industries and our house. So we have to segregate, means we have to separate all the waste from that waste we are recycle them, then we can again use, then we have to separate that waste with another waste. So it is called recycle. Use make required things like plastic, glass, metal items cannot be recycled instead of extracting new ones. We all see that when the vehicles, means waste vehicles are coming at our home, when we are throwing waste, then the man who was standing in a vehicle, it will continuously separate all the waste like plastic and all the things from that waste for recycling them. So we have to recycle all the waste that can be reusable. So it will save our energy and natural resources. So the burden on the energy will be less. Reuse. And we all and our mother will reuse all the objects that will be reusable, like when we purchase a cold drink bottle, then we reuse that cold drink bottle after use for drinking purposes. So that is called reuse, and reuse is more effective than recycling. Why? When we are recycling, then we are use little much energy, but when we are reusing, then we didn't have any waste there, any type of energy, not a little much also. So it is reuse is better than recycling as it saves energy. Forests are biodiversity hotspots. Main aim of conservation is to preserve the biodiversity, as loss of diversity may lead to ecological instability. Means forest is the biodiversity, means there are so many ecosystems in the forest, and so many plants and animals and human beings all are depending on forest. So we have to preserve the biodiversity. If the forest will be lost their diversity, then it may lead to ecological instability. If ecological instability will happen, then all of you seen that the water, the rain is not coming on a same time in the same month in all whole years. Why? Because the forest will continuously lose their ecological stable. That's why the season will change continuously and rapidly, and the growth of plants and all the things are be disturbed. So we have to maintain the ecological stability. What is biodiversity? The word biodiversity is used in forest, but what is meaning by biodiversity? Biodiversity of an area is the numbers of plants and animal species found in that particular area, like bacteria, fungi, insect, bird, plants, etc. I told you what is biodiversity, or diversity where all the things are interacted with each other at a particular place, like animal, plant, bird, fungi, insect, all these things are live at a same and a particular place, that is called their biodiversity, and forest is the biggest biodiversity. Hotspot. What is hotspot? It means an area full of biological diversity. In our cities there is not any hotspot area. Only small hotspot area was like beaches, Dumas, Ubrat, and some artificial hotspots are there like Jew, then bird sanctuary, animal sanctuary, wildlife sanctuary. These are the small artificial hotspots. Okay. So stakeholder, what is stakeholder? A person having interest or concern for something is called stakeholder. Stakeholders of forest are local people, forest department or industrialist. Means a person who is continuously show their interest or concern about any thing, that is called a stockholder. Like when we are living in a forest, and I think the person who is tribal person, tribes who is living in a forest, they always concern about forest. And some industrialists who are taking out like coal or wood from forest, they have also have their interest in that area. So that type of person is called stockholder. Stockholder. National Award for Wildlife Conservation. I told you in this chapter we will study about government give so many national awards to that person who will conserve the wildlife, who will save the wildlife, prevent the wildlife. So in that, the government of India has recently instituted an Amrita Devi Bishnoi. He is from Rajasthan, and the government of India gave him a national award for wildlife conservation in the memory of Amrita Devi, who is 1931, means in 1931 the king of Rajasthan, Jodhpur, will gave the order to make a furniture for their palace, to give the order to their sepoy to cut the wood of khejri tree from the village of Khezarani, from the village of Kherali village, who is near Jodhpur in Rajasthan. So the sepoy of king will come in Kherali village, and it was going to cut the khejri tree. So Amrita Devi come and stop them, but the sepoy didn't stop cutting the tree. So they will fought and they will argue. Then after sepoy will kill the Amrita Devi. So Amrita Devi will give their life for conserving that khejri tree. So the whole village come and they will hold the whole tree of the village, and sepoy didn't cut the tree, and then goes to king and say everything about. Then the king ordered to stop cutting the tree. This was the story of Amrita Devi, and for that Indian government give him a national award for saving wildlife. Now discuss about national award that was taken by Amrita Devi Bishnoi, and this is the second Andolan, Chipko movement. It was also for saving a trees in West Bengal, and in this movement it was happened in 1970s, the result of grassroots level effort to end alive nations of peoples from their forest. Means in that also we now we heard a story. I will tell you a story about Amrita Devi. Same story will happen here also. In that Andolan, people of village will hug the trees, and the axeman means who will come with axe to cut the tree. He didn't able to cut the tree because the peoples of village will hug the tree, and the axeman will stop to falling the tree, to cutting the tree, embracing it will feel embrace. Then for this they didn't able to cut the tree. For like that they will protect the Sal forest in West Bengal in 1972. Water as a resources. Water is also a resources. It is a very important resources. Water is a basic necessity for all terrestrial form of life. Means all form of life needs water. In that terrestrial means that land animals, human being, animals, these all are terrestrial animals who are living in a land. It is not only land, terrestrial animals, it is all necessary for terrestrial plants also. Rain is an important sources of water. We all completes our needs of water through rain. So rain is also an important sources of water. Irrigation method like dam, tanks and canals have been used in various parts of India. Means for irrigation of for farmers needs water for irrigation. So government will provide the water for making dams, tank, canals, and for various parts of India will gain their water necessity through this mode of sources. Now, what is dam? The dam is a place where we store water, and from there we will supply water for irrigation to the farmers, and dam is also generate electricity, and it regulates the flow of water level, and it will generate electricity also, means we gain electricity through dam. How we will study in advantages. Example, Theri dams. It was built on river Ganga. Sardar Sarovar dam. It was built on river Narmada. Bhakra Nangal dam. It was built on river Satluj. What was the advantages of dam? Means why we construct a dam on river? These are the advantages. There are 3 advantages. First, water from a dam is used for irrigation in fields through a network of canal. Dam ensure round the year water supply to the crops fields and help rises agriculture production. Means why we construct a dam? Because to supply the water for irrigation through canal, and dam also ensure that the continuously flow of water in canal throughout the year. Means whole year the water will continuously flow in a canal, so farmer will gain water and the crop production was increases. Water from a dam is supplied to the people in towns and cities. In our Surat city and Mumbai city, means all over India, the whole city will get their water through dam, mostly through dam. Where pipelines are connected to the dam, and the dam and the water was supplied by the dam to whole cities. When first it will be the water of dam also polluted, so first we have to treat with chemicals and to purify the water, then we will supply the water to our homes. Now third, the falling water from the dam, means when dam water is falling down and there is an turbine, the flow of water will rotate the turbine and electricity generate. So like that we will generate electricity from dam, and the water rushing down the dam turns turbine which runs electric generator. So the water when falling, the turbine was rotating and the turbine is joined with generator, and generator convert the mechanical energy into electrical energy, and like that we will get an electricity through dam. We will produce electricity through dam. Now advantages is finished. Now disadvantages of dam. There are some advantages and disadvantages of dam. We already studied advantages. Now we are going to study disadvantages of dam. First is social problem, second environmental problem, then economic problem. These 3 main disadvantages of dam. First we will see social problem. What is social problem? Due to the construction of high-rise dams, a large number of human settlements are submerged in the water of large reservoirs formed by the dams, and many peoples are rendered homeless. This creates social problems. When we are making a dam in the coastal areas, so mostly the lands we will acquire for making a dam, so we will take the land of coastal areas for making dam. So the peoples, they are living there, they have to move and they have to lost their places and go another places. So that is the biggest problem of dam. So it will make a homeless for a people who are living nearby the areas there where the dams construction was going on. So they have to move from one place to another for their livelihood. Now, environmental problems. The construction of high rises dams on the river contributes to deforestation and loss of biodiversity. Means when we make a dam, so most of the areas beside the dam, the trees and all the fauna and flora will be submerged in the water, so they lost their lives. So the loss of diversity and deforestation occurs. That's why this is the environmental problems due to dam. Economic problem. Some people says that the construction of high-rise dams involves the spending of huge amount of public money without the generation of proportionate benefits. Some people are saying we are making a dam for our uses, but it is a waste of money, because the dams, after 50 years 60 years we have to break the dam and make another dam. So the construction cost is very high. So the construction is cost is very high, so the waste of money of public will be occurred. That's why some people are saying that is an economic threat is of our money. So this is a economic problem. So these are the three disadvantages of dams. Now, rainwater harvesting. It is very important topic and it is very useful for us and for our future generations. It will works, because we all know the groundwater is constantly low. The level of groundwater is constantly going down. That's why we didn't have groundwater and fresh water for drinking. And in India and all over world, mostly so many countries are suffering for water crisis. So rainwater harvesting is a future need. What was rainwater harvesting? Rainwater harvesting is to make rainwater percolate under the ground so as to recharge groundwater. Means we have to make a tank that collect the water, rainwater, and it transfer the water through that tank to ground directly. So the level of groundwater will rises and the fresh water will be available for drinking purposes. So we have to made a rainwater harvesting at our home, everyone. Methods. There are some methods, that is rainwater harvesting methods in some states of India. In our earlier kings will made already that method, that projects. It was in Rajasthan, it was called as khadin, tanks and nadis. These are the method of rain harvesting. In MP and UP it was called as bundis, Himachal Pradesh khula, Delhi bawalis, Tamil Nadu iris, means tanks. So these are the methods of rainwater harvesting in different states of India. Advantages of storing water in ground. What was the advantages? Why we are store water in ground? It does not evaporate, means the surface water will evaporate constantly and whole year. That's why the level of river, lake, ponds will be goes down. So we didn't able to use that water for a long time. If it will at underground, means underground level, then it doesn't evaporate, so we will use all the waters of that resources. That's why we have to store water in ground. At spread out to recharge well, means mostly you will see at our village the wells are discharges, means the level of well was falling down and it was completely. Advantages of storing water in ground. It is more an effective method and it is very useful for mankind, so we have to store water in ground, because the surface water will be evaporates and we didn't able to use whole water. That's why we have to store water in ground. This is our first point also. It does not evaporate, means the groundwater does not evaporate, so we will use whole water. But the water storage at a surface like lake, river, ponds, in that the evaporation will be continuously throughout the whole year. It was continuous. That's why the water level was fall down in that river and lake, and we didn't able to use whole water and fresh water. So we have to store water in ground so it doesn't evaporate. That's why it spreads out to recharge well, means we all see that in our villages there will be well, and all the villagers will get the water mostly from wells, but the well water level was also falling down. So if we store water in ground, then it will continuously maintain the water level of well. That's why we will use for a long time. It provides moisture for vegetations over a wide area. If the water is not in the soil and in the ground, so the soil, the upper surface of that land will be drought, and the vegetation will doesn't produce. So that's why we have to store water in ground. It does not provide breeding ground for mosquitoes. If the water on the surface, then we all know the mosquito will be breed there, and it spread so many deadly disease. But if the water in the underground, they doesn't able to breed, it is protected from contamination by humans and animal waste, means the waste where the waste was producing by human and animal, it pollute the water. But if we will store the water in ground, it doesn't able to pollute the water by the contamination of humans and animals. So we have to store water in ground. These are the advantages of storing water in ground. Now coal and petroleum, this is our last topic. Now what is coal and what is petroleum? Coal and petroleum are non-renewable natural resources, means the resources which are not in unlimited source, means that are in limited and in future it will be finished. That is called non-renewable natural resource. Coal and petroleums are called fossil fuel. The another name of coal and petroleums are fossil fuel. It is made up of, what is fossil fuel? It is made of dead and decaying plants and animals. It takes millions of years to be made. That is called fossil fuel. How it is formation, means coal and petroleum, how it is formed? Coal was formed from the remains of trees buried deep inside the earth some 3 million years ago, means before 3 million years ago the trees will fall down and will decay, animal will be decay, mostly trees, then it will be buried, and constantly pressures and temperatures was be there on the remaining residue, and it will convert into coal, and it takes 3 million years to make, and means millions of years it was made. Petroleum is formed by the bacterial decomposition of dead marine plants and animals. These decompositions take place under high pressure and temperature, and formation of petroleum takes millions of years of time. Means how petroleum formed? It also formed by applying pressure and temperature by nature, and the marine, means the water animals and water plants will be decomposed and buried in the soil, and millions of years after it will convert into petroleum. Coal and petroleum will adjust very soon, means after some years coal and petroleum will be finished, and it will now the current rate of using petroleum and coal, then from this rate, present rate, how much year after the coal and petroleum will be finished? Coal, it takes only 200 years, means after 200 years the coal is completely finished from our earth. Petroleum, at present rate speed, it was only take 40 years, and after 40 years petroleum will be finished forever from our planet earth. Now we are using as a energy petroleums and coal and fossil fuel, these all are fossil fuel, harmful effect of using fossil fuel, but there are some harmful effect also that pollute the environment when we are using fossil fuel. First, air pollution, second, disease, and third, global warming. After using fossil fuel, these three disadvantages and harmful effects was causes to mankind. First is air pollution. We all know the gases released by the vehicles by the using of fossil fuel, it causes, it spread air pollution. Disease, from air pollution so many diseases will arise like cancer, throat cancer, then asthma, all these problems will be arises. Global warming, we all know the vehicles will spread and produce CO2, and CO2 is the greenhouse gas, means CO2 will absorb the heat of sun and the temperature of the atmosphere was increases and it produce global warming. Last topic, steps taken to conserve energy resources. Government and so many NGOs will be working to protect our energy resources like coal and petroleum, and some steps are taken by the government also. Switch off and give us advice, switch off electric appliance when not in use, means at home when you are not studying and when we are not sitting in a room, so you have to switch off the fan and all the electric appliance that you are not using. Use stairs to climb instead of lift, means when you are climbing 2 and 3 floor of building, so do not use a lift. When you are climbing at 10 to 15 floor, then you will use, means mostly if you avoid the lift, then it will save so much energy. So we didn't have to climb and we didn't have to use lift so much. Whenever possible, use solar cooker, means at your home, if in outside, if the sun rays and sunlight is proper coming, then you have to use solar cooker instead of gas and all these things. Use EA, means electric appliance that are energy efficient like CFL at home, means the appliance that you are using, electric appliance at your home, mostly if you want to save the energy, then you have to use CFL at your home, it saves so much energy. Use PT. PT means here public transport. So use public transport like bus or metro instead of private vehicles, means when you are going to job and school and other places, so mostly you have to use public transport. If you use public transport, then so much energy you will save, like petrol, diesel, all these things. So this chapter will be finished. In this chapter we will study about our environment. So thank you.